It's not very often that you actually get to see my face. I'm Matt and I'm from Radio Wave. You can usually catch me on the Coffee Break or the Hard Drive with Dion. And I am standing outside the Snake Park at the annual Windhoek show. It's one of the main attractions that happens here every year. And what the guys do here is what they call edutainment. They come all the way from Cape Town. Bryan is one of the senior guys that brings all the snakes and other animals in from South Africa. And they are here to educate and entertain people at the same time, raising awareness about animal conservation and also, not to fear the animals that live in our own country. So we're going to be taking a bit of a journey through here. We're going to watch one of the shows and we're going to have a chat with Bryan himself, as well as having a look at some of the awesome creepy crawlies we've got here. So stay tuned and enjoy.
The snake, that is. The little one's always the bravest.
Well, I've got Bryan here. He's from Cape Town originally, but he's at the moment based in Joburg. Am I right?
Yes.
Okay, so I just have to ask, how did you get into this line of work?
Up when I was 3 years old, I was getting my first hidings for catching snakes and playing with snakes, and carried on from there. Yeah, I've just been passionate about these things since I was born.
And I mean, what's your main interest behind?
With the snakes, I chose that as a younger person after leaving school, mostly. Before that as well, but it's a long story. But people don't like snakes, and I was trying to make a difference, trying to teach people that snakes are part of our environment and they need to be there. Yeah. So that's more or less the direction when I started. But I started off at Port Elizabeth Snake Park when I was 9 or 10 years old, and I was training the staff at that time to do shows already,
Yeah.
And I've worked at various snake parks, various zoos, and I've worked with lions, bears, chimpanzees, dolphins, a little bit of everything. But at the moment, I'm doing mostly free-flying birds. Okay. The snakes is still a passion that I do, but I'm no longer a collector, and the snake park thing doesn't interest me as much as it does with birds. Yeah.
You've got your own snake park, don't you?
Well, it's a small snake park we opened, but it's still going. Somebody else runs it for me. My business is called Cape Town Snake Park, and my son works for me. He does traveling shows, going to schools, educational stuff. And I'm based in Johannesburg, and I do the same. Snakes at schools, birthday parties, shopping centres, all the big crowds. And we do the Komatipoort show and the Rand Easter show and a few other things as well. I've done talks for about 5 million people so far.
Sure, that's amazing. You've been coming to Namibia for a while now, haven't you? How long more?
Only a little while, yeah.
Little while.
28 years.
28 years, geez. And what brought you to Namibia originally?
I used to work at the Strumpfontein Snake Park, and my boss at that time, he used to do the show up here with his partner up here, which is now also my partner up here, business partner. Yeah, he's done it for about 40 years, and I'm on 28. So that's how I started off coming here. And it's my favorite place. I love Namibia.
Now, out of reptiles and exotics, what do you go for? What's the most interesting and your favorite?
The things that interest me are not things that interest most people. Chameleons. I'm passionate about chameleons. I love chameleons. And there's a few other things that are obscure and rare and different that excite me that the average person wouldn't be excited about at all. So yeah, I've got a few things. But when you work with snakes, and you often have one that's special and is your favorite. Yeah. I used to have a snake called Pee-wee, and she had a heart attack and died.
Shame.
But she was 85 kilograms and 100% tame. So you could have 22 children in a row holding her like arms out here. And that was fun. It was nice. It gives children, when they hold a snake like that, they think differently about pythons for the rest of their life.
Yeah.
So the education goes. We call it edutainment. It's education with entertainment. Yeah.
It's very important when it comes to conservation. Your main passion is more in birds, isn't it?
At the moment, my main passion, or the direction that I think is most needed, so I'll put a lot of my energy into that, is Cape vultures. Yes.
So tell us a bit about your work with Cape vultures.
I'm involved with a few organizations, but on a small basis. But I go around with vultures. I've got free-flying vultures, so okay. We go to schools and educate people about them. But the real concern is teaching farmers. Okay. The farmers are the people that are exposed to them mostly, and that's where a lot of our problems come from. And then obviously power lines, yeah. And farm dams. A lot of them drown in farm dams. Really? You might not have a vulture for 20 years landing in your farm dam, and then suddenly one day 20 land there, and they wait for one to jump in. When one jumps in, they all think it's safe, so all jump in. And they all drown because the dam is only half full. And then they go rotten. And then the farmer's now feeding his cattle and giving them water, and the cattle get sick, and now the farmer doesn't like Cape vultures or any vultures. So there's a lot of education that goes with it.
There's a bit of a problem with the Cape vultures. Their numbers are extremely low, aren't they?
In South Africa, we're still okay. 5 years ago in Zimbabwe, the last Cape vultures were seen breeding there. So Zimbabwe Cape vultures are no longer breeding. As far as I know, here in Namibia, there's not been an active nest this year at all. So not one nest. And, from years ago, there was a fair amount of them. Now, you might see the odd migratory or vagrant bird that comes through. But as far as breeding goes, I don't think there's any breeding happening at all. So we involved with a place called Volpro, which is a vulture project. They're just near Hartbeespoort Dam towards Brits. And they keep all the broken vultures that have one wing and skew leg or whatever. And they've made a breeding cliff for them, and you've now got a big enough colony, so they're producing young. And those young will be brought here and released. But there's a whole lot that goes with it. You don't just take a bird and let it go somewhere. There's a whole process, and they have to have transmitters on them where we get GPS readings so we can see where they're flying. And it's a very expensive project,
I can imagine.
but it's nice.
And what does that mean for a species? I mean, like a place like Namibia now, where we don't have a breeding nest. What does that mean for the future of vultures in Namibia?
Look, it's the first time that they're doing this type of thing, really. In nature, what you would do is look after the wildlife, and the wild birds will look after themselves. But when you have critical things, then you start to need to look at releasing. And with a lot of animals, you can't just take them and release them into the wild. It doesn't work. But yes, with vultures, they've been quite successful with vultures in India. They lost 98% of their vultures accidentally by feeding them mostly cattle that have been treated with a anti-inflammatory, and they didn't know that the vultures were sensitive to this anti-inflammatory, and they thought they had a virus, and they wiped out most of the vultures. Now they've captured a lot of them, and they're breeding them a similar way to what we're doing, and trying to release them again, and it seems to be fairly successful.
There's a bit of a problem, and we spoke about this before. There's a bit of a problem in actually training young vultures, because training them as humans training vultures is not as good for them, is
Look,
it?
this is my personal opinion. I fly vultures freely, and they learn very quickly. So it is possible to take a vulture and let him soar right into the distance and stay out overnight, and as long as he knows where to come for food and where he's safe, then you start to develop a way. And I've got a couple of methods that we'd like to use, because I do falconry as well, and you learn a lot about birds and how they fly and how they live. And just by taking a vulture and putting them into the wilds, one wonders how much success you're going to have. But if you're training them from the word go, and then what you do is you step back and they learn where their feeding stations are. Then they know where to find food, and they know where they can stay. And the chances that they'll carry on living here and breeding here, it's fairly good. It's fairly good.
Brilliant. Well, I mean, give us a bit of a rundown of what you've got here at the moment at the show.
Oh, lots of things. Every year we try to make it a little bit different. We've got crocodiles, we've got monitor lizards. We brought the most venomous scorpion in the world. It comes from Egypt. It's similar to a mamba bite. It's really, really toxic, and it doesn't look like anything special at all. We brought a bird-eating spider, which comes from South America, which is one of the biggest tarantulas actually the biggest tarantula in the world.
Incredible.
This one's only quarter grown.
How big do they get?
27 centimeters from one leg to the other.
It's like the size of a dinner plate. Just
A little bit bigger, yeah.
unbelievable. And I mean, yeah, thank you very much for the time. I've got a crocodile sneaking up on me behind here. Did you not? Right, so Brian, what else have you got planned for the rest of the show?
Well, Windhoek show is all about, like I say, edutainment. We tease people, we take children, try to make them into heroes. You take adults, you terrorize them a little bit, but it's all under a good, fun atmosphere. We make people laugh and smile, and they go away and they come back next year because they want to see it again. Yeah. But every time we have a new little thing that we try to teach them or show them. So we have a lot of interesting animals, and people seem to enjoy it. So every year we seem to get busier and busier, and it's a big attraction to the Windhoek Showgrounds. People love it.
What would you say is your main attraction this year?
The show's always the biggest attraction. You can put whatever you want in. People want to see only a few things. So they walk right past the spinning cobras and things, and they just want to see like a green mamba or something like that. It seems to be the way that people go. So I'd say everything is special.
Brilliant. Thank you so much for your time, Brian, and we'll be enjoying the rest of the show with you today.
Yeah, no problem. They say that he needs 0.003 of a drop of venom to kill a person. So if you take a pin and you put it into a drop of venom and you prick yourself with that pin, that's enough to kill you twice over. All right, so they're really, really very, very venomous animals. But the nicest thing with the boomslang is, luckily for us, they just don't like to bite. What's the matter, guys? Whoopsie. Nobody gets bitten by a boomslang by accident. It's always people like me that play with them, or people that try and catch or kill them. Jou mannetjie is gewoonlik groen, jou wyfie is gewoonlik bruin. Hierdie is 'n mannetjie van die Kaap af. Swart op die rug, geel of groen onder die pens. Hierso in Namibia is jou mannetjies grasgroen en die wyfie is heeltemal bruin. All right. If you don't like the boomslang in your garden, you can always go and call your next door neighbor. If you don't like your next door neighbor, and you can come and tie him in a knot. Mark laws. Untie your knot. That's cheating. Come on, now. He doesn't want to do it. Oh, well, let's try another knot. One down. Next one. No, he doesn't want to do it. I'm not going to force him. Come on, guys, give him a nice round of applause. You did pretty good. Die boomslang, my gunsteling slang. Baie giftig, glad nie gevaarlik nie. Niemand word gebyt deur 'n boomslang per ongeluk nie. Dis altyd mense wat dit wel verdien. Now this is the most dangerous snake in southern Africa. The pufferer. He's the most dangerous snake because he bites the most people. And he bites the most people because people don't see them. People have big feet and you go and stand on them. So al wat hy kan doen is byt dit self. Verdediging uit. Who can tell me, why do snakes have venom? Who knows? Yes? To catch their food, exactly right. A lot of people say to defend themselves. It's not true, guys. They use the venom to catch the food and to kill the food and to digest the food. So he doesn't want to waste his venom on people. So if you leave him alone, he'll leave you alone. You play with him, he'll play with you. So children, you don't play with pufferers. If you play with pufferers, they will bite you. If he bites you in your hand swells up so badly, your fingers start falling off and you can't pick your nose for years. It's unhealthy. You don't play with pufferers. When you get older, you give them to your mother-in-law to play with, but you don't have to play with them. So dis net die pofferder. Hierdie een is mos nes my skoonma. Kort, vet en vol make-up, né? Weg is jy. And your name is?
Connor.
Say again?
Connor.
What?
Connor.
But that's what he said 3 times. Tell me, my buddy, are you married? Not married. Good. Mother-in-law's still on APRO. You just come stand over here, my buddy. One hand out like this. I'm going to teach you something. If you practice this enough, you make a lot of money. Now make a very sad face. Sad face. Put your bottom lip out a little bit. Honest the lips 'n bietjie uit. Honest the lip uit. Oh, sê, dan moet jy so maak. Jy kyk uit die mense en dan maak jy so en dan gee mense vir jou geld. I'm joking, my buddy. Put this hand up too. Facing that way. Saggies onder vas, net so daar. Come on, guys, give him a nice round. You're doing good. But buddy, you don't have to worry. These are black mambas. No, they're not. These are corn snakes. They come from America. They're very friendly snakes. It's the most popular pet snake in the world. The sun gazer lizard. These are from South Africa, but these are endangered species. Now it's sad, we live in Africa, and we have snakes, we have spiders, we have scorpions, and we even have lizards that are now critically endangered. Quite sad. And with these lizards, they live in the area which is good for farming, and the farmers plant mealies. But when they plant, they plow the fields. Once that field has been plowed, there's a layer of clay that they need to be able to survive. Once that has been plowed, never in the next 100, 200, 300 years would you get another lizard to be able to survive there. So it's all very well to look after the animals, but more importantly, we have to look after the animals' habitat, otherwise they will disappear. All right, so dis net die ou volk, eintlik pragtige diere. En as jy se maak jullie, doedoes. Vas die wakker. As ek hom te veel kill, word hy wakker. They're actually beautiful animals. By the way, guys, in Africa, we have no venomous lizards. Die blauwkop kogelmanners, geitjies, blinkoogjies, vir kleemannetjies, dis nie giftig nie. If he has 4 legs and a tail, he's not venomous. Leave him alone. Dis nou die swart mamba, the black mamba. This is a baby one. When he grows up, he'll be up to 4.5 meters long. It's the longest of all the venomous snakes in Africa, even longer than the mother-in-law's tongue. And the good news is we don't get mambas anywhere near Cape Town. That's where I come from. The bad news is you get them here in Namibia, and that's where you come from. So if you ever walk through the bush and you come across one of these, he opens his mouth, it's pretty off you go. You don't come play with him, you leave him alone. En dis nou, dis die Kaapse kobra, geel slang, koperkapel, breinkapel, gespikkelde kapel of swart kapel, dis alles dieselfde slang, dis als die Kaapse kobra. If he bites you, you could be unlucky and die in about 20 minutes if you're unlucky. He's got the most venomous or most powerful venom of all the cobras in Africa. But the interesting thing with snakes is they're just like me, a little bit stupid. If I stand still in front of him, can he see me? Can he see me? Nope, he can smell me. He smells with his tongue. Can you imagine smelling with your tongue? He smells people. He's scared of people because people always hurt snakes. If I move in front of him, he can see the movement. Snakes can only see things that move. So if you're walking through the bush and you come across a snake, most people will tell you, stand still. Have you heard that story? This I want to see. You can imagine, you're walking through the bush, you come across a snake, you think, right, stand still, stand still, stand still, stand still. The brain tells the body to stand still, and you stand dead still. But if you just moved your head forward a little bit and look downwards, you'll notice those legs down there that belong to you have been running by themselves long time already. Maybe it's better to just turn around and run away. You can run faster than any snake, especially when you're scared. Dis nou die boskapel, your forest cobra, white-lipped cobra. Actually very beautiful snakes, and they've become one of the longest of all the cobras we get in Africa. They get up to just under 4 meters long, so they get really, really huge. But when he's 4 meters long and he makes a hood, he'll stand up about that high. Right, really a dangerous looking snake, but very few people get bitten by them. The reason is they make such a good show with their hood that they scare you away, and that's the whole idea. That's why snakes make a hood, or cobras make a hood, is to scare away things like people. Are you married? You know that other boy's also not married. We can organize. I'm joking, my buddy. All you have to do is you come stand a little bit closer to me, like that. Now you have to put your arms out like this, and you're going to go. You have to. This is how it works. She's gone soggy. Hold it there. Arms out nicely. Oopsie. Microphone, you wait here. Softly, just like that. Give him a big hug. Come on, guys, give her a little bit of support. There you go. Now, dis my lelike one, Lukavon, the monitor lizard, or rock monitor. They're actually also beautiful animals. Julle het almal die storie gehoor. As ek vir jou met die ster slaan, ek kan jou been of jou arm breek. Is dit waar? Is dit waar? Nee, he cannot break your arm or your leg with his tail. It's just not possible. But if you look a little bit that side, you see that head part? If he bites you with that, that's a whole different matter. He puts 3 tons of pressure per square centimeter onto something that he bites. And he doesn't just bite and let go. He bites and holds on for 2 or 3 hours. There's nothing more painful. I was bitten by one on my thumb, and he bit so hard you could actually hear the bones cracking. And you think he's going to lick, he bites harder. And you think he's going to lick, he bites harder. You learn to scream a lot. Then you learn to swear a lot. Then you learn to speak languages you had no idea that you could understand. They really do bite hard, but they're also beautiful animals. You can give them back now, my buddy.
Yes, please.
Come on, guys, give her a little support. She did great. As mense wat dink Lukavana val vir aan, is dit op jou bors vas. Vat sy neus, en druk sy teen jou neus vas, en druk sy tong in die neusgate in, en dan suig al jou breins uit. Dis die waarheid. Hy kan nie met sy tong suig nie, so jou breins is maar veilig. Okay, now we finished with the plain stuff. Now we get on to the serious stuff. The king cobra. Facing that way. She's supposed to be over here somewhere. She just keeps going. All right, facing that way. The king cobra. This is the most dangerous snake in the whole world. He carries enough venom to kill 300 people at one time. He can kill an elephant in about 3 hours. And the king cobra kills over 30,000 people a year in India. Now, I brought this along. I just have to be very careful. Here we go, on your marks. Get set. You see, king cobras aren't so bad when they're thin like this one. This was a king cobra. He's from our snake park in Cape Town. And he died and we had his skin tanned. Now this is a baby snake. He's only 4.12 meters long. When he grows up, he would have got another 2 meters longer. Can you imagine finding a cobra this big in your garden? He doesn't even have to bite you, just has to look at you and you die in the spot. Hulle eet net aan 'n slange, né? Dis al wat hulle eet. Ta 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 ta. Sy glimlag nou so wyd sy kan 'n piesang kans gewys insluk. Ta 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 ta. Ta 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 ta. Ta 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 ta. I wish I could wind up my mother-in-law like this. People always ask me if I have a problem with my mother-in-law. I love my mother-in-law. It's a daughter I can't stand. I'm joking. I don't have a mother-in-law. I killed her a long time ago. A friend of mine phones me the other day. He says his mother-in-law's an angel. I said, you lucky person. Mine's still alive. Come on, guys, a little bit of support. Where's the tail going? You see, with the tail part, it's a boy. He's just checking things out. And with the head part, he's just smelling. He's trying to work out what's for supper. Facing that way, my buddy. Do you have insurance?
No.
Nothing?
No.
Do we have anybody here that sells emergency insurance? I'm going to try something. I've never done it before, but I'm sure it'll be fine. If you can just very softly, I'll try and get the head, not the dress. Just hold him softly under there. Just don't squeeze him. If you squeeze him, he's going to bite you straight away. Okay, so just keep his head that side, because I don't want him to come this side, because I don't want him near me, because I don't want him to bite me. So you just keep him that side. Now, I'm going to hold it. Where's the tail going? I'm going to hold the tail. I'm going to bite the tail. You tell me what the head part does. Here we go. On your marks. Get set. Oh, wouldn't. Come on, guys. Give her a little support. There you go. Well done.